Under the sky to rob, steal, or kill. I'm wondering why it's a dirty game. Is any man worthy of fame? My success to you, even if you wish me the opposite. Sooner or later, we'll all see who the prophet is.
Yo, kamikaze soundwaves, man. I have a story. It's something that happened to me. This is real. This is not anything other than a personal experience that happened. My wife was actually involved. The kids were actually involved. They don't know that. We would never tell them this. It's just something a little freaky, and there could be a lot of paranormal investigators who come and say that I'm a complete idiot. It could have been for this and or off reason, but anyway. So we were living in this 3-bedroom apartment, and my daughter was about to be born. She was, whatever. We ended up getting this apartment because it was just a good fit for us. It had like this tacked on garage where you could walk right into the house. It was perfect, and I loved it. And we had our room. My oldest son at the time, he had his own room. And then my oldest daughter, she had her room all the time, but we put the crib in there. We figured the girls would share a room, etc., etc. Bought a baby monitor, put it in there. So, that room where my daughter was in, it always kind of gave me this just weird vibe. I can't explain it. I can't put it into words. I don't know how to tell you the feelings that I had from it. It was just something particular about it. Okay. So, fast forward. We're living there, and my daughter's born. And she never ever will sleep in that room. I mean, it's you put her in there, you turn the lights off, put a nightlight on, whatever. Even though my oldest daughter's in the room, she cries. The crib just isn't working out, and I know this is, they say you should never do this, but she slept with us the entire time that she was from infancy to toddler and all that stuff until we got her to actually sleep on her own after we moved. But she would never ever sleep in that room. And I mean, that's common. Kids don't, a lot of babies won't sleep in their crib, and my son did the same thing, and he had no instances of something like this with what I'm going to tell you about. But so in our room, my wife's room, I had my computer desk that we bought from IKEA, and the way that the desk was set up was like how I'm looking at you is the doorway into the kitchen and the living room. So you would be facing the monitor like this. But while you're sitting there, something would always feel like it's making you catch your eye out of your peripheral, where you're just like, what is over there? You'll go back to, what? And you'll look over there again, and you'll go back, and you'll look back over there again, and nothing's ever there. Nothing's ever there. I kind of chalked it up to, I'm so used to the kids running around and kids doing kids things, where I'm just so used to something over there where I need to be looking. I don't know what it is or what it wasn't, but while you sit in that chair in our bedroom, if you're looking at the computer, there's always something at your peripheral where you'll just you just feel like you need to immediately turn to the left and see what's going on in the hallway. This could be at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, kids up, kids asleep, kids not at school, kids at school. I don't know what it was, but it was like something was just trying to catch your attention, I didn't pay a lot of attention. It got annoying sometimes because, I'm tired of looking to the left. But so I had my own personal experience with something that was pretty strange. My oldest son was in kind of like, it wasn't, summer school, but it was like he wasn't doing great at school. But what it means is he needed to go to school in the morning an hour early, where they would offer tutoring, extra help, things to get his school grades up, etc., etc. So I would wake up in the morning. I would put my daughter in the car, both daughters in the car. We would drive to school. I'd drop him off. We would come back, and then maybe like an hour later, I would put her on the bus. And usually every morning had the same routine. She would get up, and we would get up, we would go, we would come back, and she was sitting at the table, our little bar area, and kind of directly behind her is kind of the entrance to my son's room. She was sitting there and she was eating her cereal, and I'll never forget it. She just, I don't know what I was doing, but I just happened to look up at her, and she looked up at me and she says, "There's a little boy playing in there." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And she was like, "There's a little boy playing in," I'm not going to say my son's name, but playing in his room. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared. Like, I had chills all over me, and I'm like, I love my daughter to death, but, I was scared, but I couldn't, show that. I'm not gonna lie, man. If I did walk in that room and there was a little fucking ghost boy in that room, man, my daughter's on her own. I love her I love her to death, but I'm fucking out of there. So anyway, obviously, I'm like, there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. There's nothing to be worried about. And I'll show you. And as I go to crack the door that's already cracked open, I'm like, please don't let there be a fucking ghost in here or something, because I'm gonna shit all over the fucking floor. So open the door, obviously there's nothing there. And I'm like, why did you say that? She's like, because there was a little boy and he was in there playing. I'm like, she's very young at this point. She was like in kindergarten. So I'm thinking, kids do weird kid things and they say things like that and whatever. So I brushed it off as nothing, but I'm not going to lie, it did kind of creep me out. So randomly one night, I'm sitting at the computer in our room and my wife's laying in the bed. And I'm doing my computer thing, watching YouTube or et cetera, I don't know. And I'm still doing the looking over to the left thing, like, what is catching my eye? And it got to the point where I'm like, I tell my wife, I'm like, do you ever sit here at the computer desk while you're here and you just feel like something's always catching your eye to go out that door? Like something's just like there's something moving over there and you always turn over and there's nothing ever there? And she's like, I swear, it's like that for me all the time, too. And I'm like, isn't that weird? I'm like, why do you think that is? I don't know. We get to talking, and I'm like, she just, without me telling her that story about my daughter telling about the little boy playing, because, it was like a one little instance thing. I didn't think much of it. I just thought, same as, kids say things. She says, she's like, well, let me tell you something. It's a little creepy. Don't be freaked out by it. But my oldest daughter, I'm not going to say her name, she tells me that when she's sleeping and sometimes she wakes up, there's an old man who's watching her sleep. And sometimes he's a little boy. I was like, are you serious? Like, when did she tell you this? She was like, she told me this a while ago. She's like, I didn't think much of it. I thought she was just saying stuff. And I'm like, well, that's funny that she told you this. Like, let me tell you what she told me. And I told her the story about her saying that she found she saw a little boy playing in our oldest son's room. So that moved on. We just thought maybe it was coincidence, and she's just a kid saying this, that, and the third, etc., etc. So move along. There was one night. It was very, very random. So we went to go put the kids to sleep. We put our oldest son to sleep, and then we went to go put the oldest daughter to sleep in her room. This is the room I told you that I always had these weird feelings about, which are just, when you're in the room, it just gives you this, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. So we go to put her to sleep, and she's like, I want to sleep with my brother. And, no big deal. They sleep together sometimes. So I'm like, okay, fine. Let's go over here. Let's go to sleep. Go over there, read a story, etc., whatever we do. And, so they go to sleep, and I come out and I close the door, and I realize that I look down the hallway and that she left the lamp on in her room. So I went into the room, and like, if this is the area I'm trying to explain, like my youngest daughter's crib was against the wall, and right in the corner we had a lamp. So you have to actually walk into the room to get to the lamp because it's in the far corner. So I go in, I walk past the crib, and I go to turn the light off. And I swear, I'm not scared or frightened by much. I don't believe in all this hocus pocus and all that shit. I went to reach for a light, and I was about yay there. Every single hair on my body stood up. I froze cold. I felt frozen. And I swear to God, something started whispering in my ear. It wasn't words that I could understand, but it was just like, I am a grown ass man. I was at that time. I screamed. Not screamed, but I literally took off running through the house to our room and screamed to my wife, there is something in that room. Something just touched me. Something was trying to talk to me. I have never experienced anything like that in my entire life. It freaked me the fuck out. My wife immediately was like, shut the fuck up, dismissing me like it's nothing. I was genuinely scared. And I think at the end of the day, my wife saw that because I was like, no, something is in that fucking room. Something is in that fucking room. So she grabbed her Bible. My wife is very religious. She went down there. We sat in the room. She started reading passages from the Bible. And I'm like, that's not my thing. But, she did that. So I think that she felt my genuosity, just being genuine about me being scared and stuff like that, and whatever. So a couple of days passed, and she has another person that she's very close with, her friend, and I guess she told her the story, and she was like, "You need to bless your house," So my wife took it, and she planned on doing that. My wife is Hispanic, and they have a very cultural with whatever. So the other her friend is Hispanic as well. So she brought this stick home, and it whatever it was, like incense, something like that. But anyway, what you're supposed to do with it, how it's supposed to bless your house. But the way in order for it to work is you light it. And when you light it, you walk around your entire house, around the borders and edges of your house. Like you walk around the entire just outline of your house with it, okay? And that's supposed to create some barrier and get rid of anything that's on the inside and keep everything on the outside as far as spirits are concerned. Whatever. So we did that. And, we started in our room, I believe. So I'm walking with her. She lights it. We walk in. We start in our room. We go the way it's lined up. We go through the living room, down the hallway, into my son's room. Come out of my son's room. We go down the hallway, and we enter my daughter's room. So we go past, and right at the very spot in the corner where the lamp is, where I felt that crazy sensation, feeling scared, whatever it was, right where we got to that corner, the damn thing went out. In that very spot. Could be coincidence. It could have been air vent. I don't know. The apartment was very, very big. But to get to that certain spot and go out was pretty freaky to me. And I was like, look, see, it's going out now. Look, this is where it happened, So my wife's like, look. Let's light it up. She lit it up again. In that same corner, it goes out. So we move away from that area a little bit, and we continue to go around the room. She lights it back up. We go through the entire house, again, from that corner, all the way back around, through the entire house, circle back into our room, come out in the living room, go down the hallway into the son's room again, come out, go back into the same room, in the exact same spot where the corner is that I got freaked out in. It went out again. Tell me that's not fucking freaky and crazy. So, nonetheless, my wife, she read some Bible verses, etc., etc. But ever since that moment, we didn't have any other things like that. I never had any weird sensations like that. But I tell you, the way to describe how I felt, it was like, I don't know, like I literally, it's like something just latched onto me and just froze me from the inside out and was just whispering. It's like you couldn't see it, but there was like literally someone's face right here whispering in your ear. It was the scariest, weirdest moment I ever had. And I'm not fabricating it at all because of this video. I'm not telling you and trying to exaggerate it because I'm trying to make it more exciting for whatever views or whatever. That happened. It happened. It was freaky as hell. I've never experienced anything like that. I've never experienced anything since. But, you know, we moved on. We've never had any other crazy things like that happen to us. You know, I just feel like sometimes, you know, there could be like wandering spirits out there, and sometimes they get lost, and sometimes they come around, you know, certain people, and they kind of just latch on to you. But from what I understand, like, you know, I've had similar things along the way of like, oh God, I feel like there's a presence around me. Nothing like I experienced before, but you know what they say is like when you see those things, you feel those things, you completely ignore that. The more attention you show to it, the more attention it will give you. I'm not in any way a nut job, and I believe in ghosts and nothing like that. That was just a little scary story tell thing that happened to me that I thought was interesting. But yeah, man. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Anyway, peace. Kamikaze Soundwaves. Alright, later. I don't know how I get out of this. I just talk and then I'm done and I'm like, what do you do? Alright, anyway, later. Thanks for watching.